So it's judiciary. From judiciary, we will be discussing. So first, my question is, the government has proposed for Indian Judicial Service. So can you tell me something about Indian Judicial Service, which is proposed by the government of India, Vijay?
Yes, sir. So the government plans to have a cadre of judicial service on all pan-India level. This is primarily to address the issue of huge vacancies, and given the fact that close to 86% of our pending cases are at the district and subordinate courts, this judicial services will cater to that. And yes, sir, that is more or less what I have to say.
So what is the position of the draft bill?
That I do not have knowledge of as of now, sir.
Yes. Ramya, are you aware of Indian Judicial Service? What is the status right now? Ramya, unmute.
I'm already unmuted, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. We can hear you. Yes.
I'm not aware of the status of the bill.
Yes. This is very important. All India service. It is going to become the fourth All India service. The government already gave the note. Now they sent the All India Judicial Service bill to the High Courts and Supreme Courts. If they have any issues, they can come back and they can give the review. So when the judiciary is okay with the All India Judicial Service, then they want to send it to the Parliament for the sake of making of the bill. If not, it will become the same like National Judicial Accountability Commission, Appointments Commission, so that after making a constitutional amendment, it will be made null and void. So they want to get the opinion from the judiciary in the earliest stages. That is the status of Indian Judicial Service. One more thing. The exam will be conducted in 22 languages so that there will not be any language barrier. The exam will be for appointments for the subordinate courts. The exam will be for the appointments of the subordinate courts. From the subordinate courts, they will be promoted to the high courts and eventually to the Supreme Courts. Yes. Second, which are burning.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, please.
Sir, if they ask like, what is your opinion on Indian judicial services? What should be the right balanced opinion?
Indian Judicial Service would be the best service. Why? Because already we were being successful with IAS, IPS, and Indian Forest Service. So appointing at the pan-India level, we can get the best merit, and the law required the best merit. Why? Because the appointments at the subordinate are happening at the level of High Court and at the level of state government. So if it happens at the pan-India level, the best merit will be entering into the judiciary and eventually they can grow. There are two conditions out there. First condition is they have to serve a minimum 7 years as the lawyer. They have to complete LLB. These are the two conditions for writing the All India Judicial Service. So same how the subordinate judges were being appointed, in the same way here also 7 years of experience is mandatory. So merit will be All India level, Pan India level, merit will be joining the judicial service.
So what functions they will be taking up, like?
District judge.
Okay, thank you.
Directly as a judge. Before that, right now the procedure in every state is High Court will be releasing the notification. These people who completed LLB and 7 years of experience as advocates, they will be applying from the state. Now all over India, the merit will be coming
up. Yeah, Ramya, you go ahead. No, Ramya, please go ahead.
Yes.
You can't hear. Sorry. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, can we also say that because of the service, there will be proper career progression for people in the judicial services, so it will attract talent from the best lawyers and best. Can that be a valid point?
Yes, 100%.
My question was to do with whether there will be an issue of executive having a say in the appointments of judiciary. Will that be an issue?
Yes. So UPSC exclusive and independent body. How the IAS, IPS will be appointed transparently, in the same way UPSC is taking the responsibility. And one more question, one more doubt is, which is raised by the lawyer forum, is in the lower judiciary, the arguments will be most of the times happening in local language.
Local language.
So it can be a barrier. The answer given by the government is, we also thought in the beginning for IAS and IPS, but language was not barrier. And the people who got recruited at the all India level for judicial services, they will be trained with their language in the beginning stage itself, in the training stage itself. Okay, Prithvi?
Yes, sir.
Next, number 2. Whether to bring judiciary under RTI.
Sir, Right to Information Act has been a great success in empowering the citizens. Bringing judiciary along and also the political parties under the act will make it more powerful and empowers the citizens, I think so.
Okay. Any contrary answer?
No.
Whether judiciary will be happy with that?
Sir, judiciary had been not very favorable towards bringing itself under RTI, and every time a question for RTI comes up, the SC and even the HCs have asked to follow the procedure of the court that also has a system to provide information, but it is more opaque than the RTI. So I think the judiciary will not be very happy with the.
So coming to the lack of transparency in appointments of judges, what is your opinion, Vijay?
Sir, there definitely is a concern of lack of appointment, particularly with the current way the collegium system is functioning, where there are no fixed rules or fixed criteria for appointment or transfer of judges. So there are always the questions of nepotism or arbitrary transfers or reversals of appointments. So as such, I feel there is definitely a lot of scope for bringing in transparency in the judiciary currently.
Are you aware of Judges 1, Judges 2, Judges 3 cases?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
According to the Constitution, according to the Constitution, the appointment of the judges are appointed by the President in consultation with the Chief Justice. So, sir, in these 3 series of cases has actually dwelled on what exactly this consultation means. While the first judge cases said it was mere consultation and not really concurrence, the second judge case has actually established that it means concurrence, thereby giving primacy to the judiciary itself in terms of appointments. So the third judge case said that further expanded this and said it's not just the CJI's concurrence, but also the concurrence of the 2 senior most judges in the Supreme Court that must come in for the appointments of the judges. So these are the 3 judge cases.
Prithvi, collegium consists of?
Collegium consists of Chief Justice of India and 2 senior most judges.
It's a factual
4.
question, but 2 or 4?
4 senior most judges.
N.V. Ramana is from which state? It's a current affair, that is a reason.
Andhra Pradesh, sir.
Yes. Are you aware of this? Supreme Court's Artificial Intelligence Committee launched Artificial Intelligence Portal in Supreme Court. Are you aware of this?
No.
Oh, it's very important. See, Supreme Court recently launched a SUPACE. SUPACE. What is that? 3 days back. For the judges, regarding the cases, regarding factual information, artificial intelligence will be helping the judges in delivery of the judgment. It is heavily criticized. Why? Because artificial intelligence is a machine learning thing, where the machines will be playing the role. So in the judgments, whether the machines are playing the role is heavily criticized. But the CJI, Arvind told that it will be helping in collection of the facts. After collection of the facts, it is the conscience of the judge who will be taking the decision. So for the first time in Indian judiciary, artificial intelligence is entering into the judicial system. Your opinion, please. What do you say? That is the view of CJI. What is your view, Prithvi?
Sir, artificial intelligence is becoming the new reality, like it is being used in various fields. Even in medical field, uh, artificial intelligence is expected to replace many specialties of doctors. Coming to judiciary, most of the cases needs to be evaluated on humanistic grounds, and we don't have very fixed procedures, and most of the provisions in our laws itself are vaguely defined. So for these matters to be dealt with, humanistic touch is definitely needed. So a hybrid model will be definitely useful, like for filing of cases and for prioritizing the cases. If you use artificial intelligence, yes, it may ease the process, but ultimately the uh, trial should be conducted by the judges only, humans only.
Very good. The question is for Ramya. A few days back, Kerala High Court told if a woman feels she is nothing without the support of the men, that is a failure of the system. What do you say?
I absolutely concur with the system, with the comment made by the court, sir. Because I believe in a country like India, where all the constitutional values say that equality it should be present for irrespective of the gender. If we are not able to provide opportunities for women to excel in the fields that they want, I believe it definitely is the problem in the system where proper education might not have been provided, proper resources might not have been provided. So I think from my perspective as a woman, I feel that the court has been absolutely correct in saying that, sir.
Yes. Vijay, what is contempt of court?
The contempt of court is to do with uh, violating or basically not adhering to what court stands
I
are.
asked you this question because contempt of court is very much in use because of Prashant Bhushan.
Yes, sir. And it is basically in two forms, sir, which is civil contempt of court and criminal contempt of court. While the first one has to do with the willful disobedience of any court judgments or any court orders, the latter, which is a criminal contempt of court, is to do with prejudice or some sort of infraction in terms of administration of justice and uh, similar issues, sir. So contempt of court is a very pertinent issue as such.
Very good. Prithvi, what is the difference between judicial review, judicial activism, judicial overactivism?
The judiciary looking into the constitutionality and validity of any law, ordinance, or notice is called judicial review, sir. It acts as a check on the legislature and executive, whereas um, judicial activism comes out of the enthusiasm of judiciary to fill the legislature gap sometimes, and to make provisions for the welfare of the citizens. For example, the public interest litigation bill is a product of judicial activism, and the banning of liquor shops on the state highways is also a result of judicial activism. It has turned both positive and negative outcomes. And coming to judicial overreach, when this judicial activism is set to encroach the sphere of the legislator and executive, it could be called as judicial overreach, which is subjective.
Example, please.
Example for judicial overreach is, sorry, sir, I couldn't recall.
In Ramya?
Sir, can I?
Yes.
Right. Judiciary, High Court of Allahabad asking civil servants' daughters and sons to go into government schools only. Something.
Yes. Not something that is, yes.
Yeah.
Sir, again, I wanted to say that last year's court had banned selling alcohol shops for 5 meters along the highways. I feel that is also judicial overreach.
Firecrackers in Delhi.
Sir?
Firecrackers in Delhi at the time of
Firecracker,
Firecrackers.
Diwali.
Diwali.
Sir, can that be called judicial overreach though?
Because see, it is a duty of the Central Pollution Control Board, not the Supreme Court, not the Delhi High Court. encroaching the ambit of the executive. There is a no proper
Sir,
balance.
but like building on what Prithvi had said, can we see that as court filling in the gap where the executive or the legislature is found wanting
That
because
is,
they aren't doing something to control the pollution, or probably it's not effective enough is why the court has done such a move.
then it should give the warning to the government to do it. But the Supreme Court should not give, or the Delhi High Court should not give the orders.
Sir, I think judicial overreach is said to be subjective. Like judicial activism, some people might consider a move as overreach, some might not. So there is no clear line, I guess,
So
as
there
far
is
as I
no-
understood.
Sir, I have one question. Suppose a topic like this is asked, like, do you support judicial activism or judicial overreach? I feel there are cases where judicial activism has helped the country, like the Vishaka guidelines, and there are also cases where where we feel that it's a overreach, like the firecrackers or the national highways thing. So in those kind of questions, normally in mains we write both the sides and then we end it saying that separation of powers should be there. But in an interview, how do we answer such questions?
the same within the ambit of the constitution. Within the ambit of the constitution, judicial activism is allowed. Judicial overreach can lead in longer run, usurping the power of the executive and legislature in the longer run, which is blatant violation of separation of powers, 100%.
On that note, don't you think the Vishaka guidelines were also some sort of encroachment on the executive or the legislature's domain?
Yes, 100%. But that is some positives, as Prithvi told, subjectively. We have to.
Yeah, I mean, if we see Vishaka guidelines as something positive because they're for the betterment of women, then banning crackers on Diwali is also positive because they're for the environmental good.
So if you need to, yes, 100%. There is also Prakash Singh case whereby police reforms will be recommended. Yes. So subjective interpretation, but it should be within the limits of the constitution. Within that, if it is anything encroachments are happening, the Supreme Court and the High Court should be very much restrained in giving the judgments. Isn't it, Prithvi?
Yes, sir. Separation of powers is what should be our last answer, I guess.
I think that should be
Yeah.
probably the guiding
Yes.
Yeah.
document.
Under trials. Who are under trials? Yes, Ramya.
So people who are yet to go to the court, appear before the court, but were accused in some crime. These people are put in the jails without any bail and they become under trials.
Vijay, what is the difference between convicted, acquitted?
The convicted is a person who has been proven beyond doubt that he is the one who has committed a crime of which he is being accused. Acquitted is when a person is exonerated honorably, saying that this person is the one who has not committed the crime.
Yes. Reasons for increasing number of under trials?
So, primarily, I think it's to do with the burdened subordinate courts at the district level because most of the courts have a facing problem of huge vacancies. So that's definitely one problem, sir. And secondly is also the issue of ambiguity in a lot of our legislations in terms of, for instance, say the laws on sedition or otherwise. A lot of terms are ambiguous or broad enough to arrest a lot of people for various reasons. So I think if we bring in more unambiguity in our laws, issue of under trials will be better tackled.
Right to bail is a fundamental right.
Sir, I'm not sure, sir. I don't think it is because there are certain non-bailable offences too. But I'm not sure, sir.
Prithvi?
I don't think so, sir. Like
So
when they
what are your solutions to be in order to lessen under trials?
Sir, if we broadly understand the reasons for these under trials and for each reason we have to give one solution. Like for the understaffed judiciary, we need to appoint more judges, and we need to relieve the police department also. Like we need to increase the staff in the police department so that they can complete the investigations faster. And also, as the law commission recommended, for those who have completed half of their term as under trial prisoners, they should be released immediately. And we need to start more fast track courts, and also we need to consider the alternative judicial mechanisms like arbitration, conciliation, and mediation, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My question is, any NGO working for under trials?
Sorry, sir, no idea.
Okay. You told arbitration and conciliation. There is an amendment is happening to arbitration conciliation. What is an amendment?
Sir, in the previous act, it has provided some qualifications for the arbitrator, and now they have been relieved. And also,
What is the
sorry, sir, I
major?
couldn't recall.
Yes.
Sir?
What is the major amendment? One major point is here. Yes. Anyone? Earlier, the judgment given by the arbitration and conciliation body is not subjected to judicial review. It is final and
appeal
binding. Now they can appeal in the high courts and supreme courts.
Yes, sir. If it is believed to be forced or corrupt.
Yeah.
Then, yes.
A factual question. How many official languages are there for Jammu and Kashmir?
I think 3.
Okay. Well, because a law was being passed. 5. 5 official languages are there. Hindi, English, Urdu, Kashmiri, Dogri. Out of the box question. What is your opinion on Citizenship Amendment Act? Very quickly. Prudvi.
Sir, Citizenship Amendment Act aims at providing citizenship to those migrants who entered India before 31st December 2014 from the countries of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan on religious basis. Like, sir?
What is your opinion?
My opinion is like, yes, sir. India being a secular country, providing citizenship to migrants on religious basis is being widely criticized. But at the same time, on the security concerns, it could be defended. But the main issue here is the way the act is communicated to the public or to the national, international media is what matters, because it will impact on our soft power. So the government should give out a much more vivid explanation on the act, so that our reputation on the international front is not damaged.
Very good. Any contrary answers?
Can it also be argued on the grounds of constitutional validity, like Article 14, the right to equality? I think the exceptions under right to equality is for the people who are equally placed, is how you give them exceptions. For instance, say reservations for SCs and STs, because all of them are equally placed. So on that grounds, there is some missing of rational or logic as to why we are giving it only for the migrants or the persecuted people from those 3 countries and not from other countries, say Sri Lanka or, for instance, Myanmar, as is the case now. And why only religious persecution and why not, say, political persecution? So I think Article 14 is something that I have in my mind. I'm not sure as to its legality.
Yes. See, there is a personal data protection bill. My question is, what is this data means? Data fiduciaries. Ramya?
Um, Sir, in this bill, data means both the individual level data and data that does not have identifiers of the individual. So data fiduciaries are those who take the data, process the data, and use that data.
Provisions of this bill.
Sir,
Provisions of this bill. Provisions.
Sir, I don't remember, sir.
It's very important.
Right.
Anyone? Provisions of this bill.
So it classifies the data into three types: personal data, sensitive data, and I'm unable to recall the name of the third one. So it's three data, and then it also classifies them under different categories so as to say which data can be has to be localized in the country and which data can be uh, taken out of the country. And it also gives certain rules as to data mirroring, which means keeping a copy of that particular data within the country for certain. And but there are also concerns regarding its wide powers given to the executive itself in terms of how it can use the data. So, and concerns on right to privacy of the citizens, given the fact that this particular bill does not really provide for the right to forget, which is the case in the which is there in the case of EU and other European countries.
There is a body in Gandhinagar which is called as Gift City. Are you aware of it? International.
Financial Service Center.
Is it successful? Is it successfully functioning? Whether the people are using the services?
Sir, the concept of Gift City has become associated with IFSCA, but the city Gift City has been founded like almost during the almost in the 2005 period. So Gift City as a concept hasn't really been much successful, particularly because of the locational reasons and mainly because of the locational reasons and the lack of proper regulation. But IFSCA, which has been started this year only, it is working on ground. It is working on the realities to attract investments from the foreign investors. Sir. So we are yet to see whether IFSCA will be successful or not. But Gift City as a concept, I feel has failed to gather currency.
This is an important question. International Financial Service Center. Prudvi, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. What is this?
So, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is through an act, Insolvency Bankruptcy Act of 2016, which aimed at easing the process of insolvency when a company or limited liability partners or individuals claim insolvent. That is, they could not pay the loans they have taken from the creditors. So in this, we have the debt recovery tribunals and national company law-led tribunals, before which the process will be done by the insolvency personals. And there are specific timelines in which these processes has to be completed.
Okay. Limited.
It has helped in increasing our sir.
Limited liability means?
Sir, limited liability means in case if a firm has two or more partners, if they are limited liability partners, one partner will not be responsible for the uh, uh, delayed payments or any other acts committed by the other partners. This is my understanding of limited liability.
Okay. Insolvency and Bankruptcy, correct. Limited liability is correct. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, what is the status? Whether it is successful or failed?
has been successful in many cases. It is evident the way the number of cases has been resolved, uh, and also the ease of doing business has also improved in India. But in few large, big number cases, like when the money involved is very high, this has been a failure to some extent, sir.
It got amended. Vijay, are you aware of the amendment?
I believe the amendment has increased the or given a more window for the resolution of the cases earlier, which was 180 days, if I'm not wrong. There is a provision of uh, extra 90 days that is being given for the resolution of the cases, if I'm recalling correctly, sir.
Yes. See, my next question is, in 2013, they asked me Land Acquisition Act. Popular name is called as Land Acquisition. So they asked me what is the total law name. So my question to Ramya, farmers bills which are got legislated, tell me the complete name of this farmers laws.
No, sir. I no, I
Vijay.
don't think I concentrated on that.
Vijay.
Farmers Price Assurances and Farm Services Bill is the first one, and the second one is Farmers uh, Trade and Commerce Bill, Facilitation and Promotion of Trade and Commerce Bill, and the third one is the Essential Commodities Act 2020.
Prithvi, tell me the farmers bills full name. Prithvi.
It's not.
Yes, Prithvi.
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall.
This is my 2013 question.
One act is Essential Commodities Act Amendment, sir.
That
The
is
other is farmers. The other thing related to contract farming, like assured payments and farm services bill.
go through it.
And the other thing is trade outside the APMC market
I want the names.
related. I don't know the exact names.
Forest Rights Act full name. Anthropology optional. Forest Rights Act full name.
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to.
Ramya, Forest Rights Act full name. Yes. Provisions, you know, I know that. Full name, you know. Epidemics. What is this Epidemic Disease Amendment Bill? Yes, Vijay.
This amendment was Vijay, sir. Should I continue?
Yes, please, because
Continue.
I'm unable to recall anything.
Okay. The act was amended during the pandemic period in view of increasing attacks on the hospitals and the healthcare personnel, sir. So any such offense committed on the first line workers or hospital infrastructure will be meted out with fines and imprisonment. And the negative thing about this act is it is only limited to situations like pandemic, not in the regular situations where the violence on the doctors is on the rise. Sir.
Maternity Benefit Amendment Act. Ramya.
Maternity Benefit Act increases the period of leave that women can take during their pregnancy period to 26 weeks. It also mandated that creches must be provided into any company that has more than 10 employees. I don't remember that number, but mandatorily creches must be provided. These are the two main amendments that are brought in the maternity.
Yes. Vijay, your opinion on genetically modified crops?
But definitely there are going to be benefits in terms of genetically modified crops. In terms of say better pest resistance and better resistance towards climate vagaries also, be it droughts or floods and all of that. So, but there are also concerns of biopiracy, and there are also concerns of the genetically modified crops affecting the nutritional security of the people as such. And so, sir, as such, I think there must be, there cannot be a blanket rule of whether genetically modified crops can be taken in or not, but it must be on a more case-to-case basis, as in the case of, say, brinjal, where we have not really allowed genetically modified crops, but we did allow in the case of cotton. So, sir, I think it has to be on a more case-to-case basis.
Yes. Okay. There is a Niti Aayog model lease law. Niti Aayog is coming up with a model lease law with respect to the agriculture sector. Any idea? Prithvi?
No, sir.
That is very important. Once go through it. Lease that condition the security which is provided to the leaseholder of the agriculture land. There are some guarantees provided by the government who are leasing the land for the agriculture sake. So that security is there with the leaseholder. Land reforms in India, success or failure?
Considering that the amount of small and marginal farmers in India is very high, like more than 86%, we can say the aims of land reforms like land consolidation have not been met, sir. But to some extent, it was successful in redistributing the land to the then shareholders, the then tenant farmers, sir. But there is a need for new land reforms, which helps the farmers to gain by cooperative farming or by consolidation of their lands.
Oh, cooperative means?
Cooperative in the sense like a group of farmers coming together and doing the cultivation together on common by pooling their investments. That is, I think, cooperative because large lands are more yielding and the investment cost per hectare will reduce and the yield will increase.
Yes. Vijay, in the 21st century, still farmer suicides are happening. Why so?
Yeah, I think primarily is the issue of stagnant productivity in our agriculture, sir, and also very overburdened agriculture because of the disguised unemployment. And so secondly is also the issue of how it is one of the largest private sectors in the country, but it is also one of the very regulated private sectors in the country where the end cultivator is the one who is actually not getting any of the benefits. So I think there must be more emphasis on firstly the clustering the agriculture sector to provide other employment opportunities, and also sir, the next concern is to really ramp up the stagnant productivity in our agriculture, sir, so that the agriculture incomes have gone up. Rural wages have really been stagnant for most of the last 2 decades. So I think upgrading the productivity should be our primary concern.
So you told farmers' income should be increased. The present government is telling that doubling the farmer income by 2022. Is it possible?
I think while it is desirable, I do not think it is possible in the very short run, sir. I think it can definitely be a goalpost for us in the medium run, but by 2022, I do not really see it happening, sir.
Okay. Why? Because they made it in 2014. Now it is 2022. Any solutions to stop farmer suicides from your side, Ramya?
Sir, I believe along with agriculture, we should focus on allied activities of agriculture. We have seen many such successful models in the Northeast, particularly. For example, rice and fish farming is present. In AP, we have prawns farming along with regular agriculture. These have definitely increased the incomes of farmers compared to others who are doing only agriculture. So I think this is one sure way to increase the income of the farmers.
Any solution? Any solution you have? Udvi?
Sir, one thing as Ramya said, we can increase the non-farm activities as a additional income for the farmers. The other thing is helping the farmers to meet the investment cost, like the Raitu Bandhu scheme, which was successful in Telangana, and and increasing the crop productivity by bringing the agriculture extension services into farming. That will bring the latest technology, farm mechanization, and also after the post harvest, we need to improve the storage facilities and transport facilities, and also we need to teach the farmers how to make this post harvest yield more productive, like by technologies like food processing and other means. So through an integrated approach, like right from the investment to the marketplace, uh, if we take innovative steps, the doubling of farmers' income and thereby preventing the suicides both can be realities.
Very good. Rainbow revolution is regarding in agriculture sector. This is favorite
Rainbow
question of
revolution.
UPSC. Favorite question of UPSC.
Is it to do with the millet production?
Rainbow revolution. How many colors are there in rainbow?
7 colors.
First one, which color?
Violet.
Which revolution?
It can be violet.
Rainbow revolution is a favorite question. It is lot 2009, 2010, 2011. This was the question. Last question. Operation Greens. Are you aware of it? Operation Greens. Operation Greens mainly in order to control the prices of potato, onion, and tomatoes. The
Okay.
government have come up with Operation
Okay.
Greens. Top. What is price stabilization fund?
Now it has been extended for others.
Yes. Prithvi.
Sir, I was telling about Operation Green, sir. Now it has been extended during the pandemic for other crops also.
Yes.
I think sir has asked a question which got interrupted.
Price stabilization.
Yeah.
Okay.
Price stabilization.
Sir, price stabilization fund is helping the farmers to. Sorry, sir. Let me. Price stabilization fund helps to pay the farmers the extra investment cost they meet even after incurring the government benefits. Something like this. I don't know it exactly. Sorry, sir.
Vijay.
If I'm recalling correctly, the fund goes towards subsidizing or paying for the procurement costs that NAFED, TriFed, and FCI and NAFED do to in terms of procuring, say, oil seeds, copra, etc., from the farmers. So this fund goes towards that procurement cost.
Okay. Very good. So these are the topics where we will be covering. Tomorrow we will come with other topics. Today, very good session it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Regarding citizenship amendment bill, is there a chance of it going for judicial review? And if it goes, will it come out clean or will it get scrapped?
Are you think up to now there is no public interest litigation on this? It went. It went.
I am not aware.
Sub judice.
Okay.
It's sub judice. isn't
Yes.
it?
It went and it was been declared as sub judice. It is within the ambit of the executive.
Legislature. So what should be our stand? Like we should say, is it a right?
What you told is correct. More consensus, more consultations were been absent before making such bill. If that was been made, then the issue of Citizenship Amendment Act was been not there. Why? Because Manmohan Singh in the parliament in 2009 itself, he discussed about the Citizenship Amendment Act. So the Citizenship Amendment Act is not new to the country. It is there in Congress also. So there is a need for prior consultations. Discussions were been absent, because of which this issue was been happened.
Sir,
Yeah.
one more thing, sir. As Vijay mentioned, like we are not allowing politically persecuted minorities, and also not from other countries like Sri Lanka or something. And right now, the Rohingya issue at the Mizoram border is also a question, like whether we should accept the refugees or we should send them back. So in this context, why only Muslim minorities are left behind, and why other religious minorities are being allowed? Why not political minorities from other countries?
Yes, here you cannot judge the government. That is subjected to criticism. So the same thing is subjected.
So we can just say that government should come out with more vivid, rational explanation.
Yes, yes. We cannot judge. We cannot support government in all aspects. At this particular point, we cannot judge the government. We have to tell as it is. It is subjected to criticism.
Can we actually bring in the question of legality, sir, or is it better to abstain from that?
Abstain from it. Yes, Ramya.
Sir, I have one question. In interview, when a question is asked, for example, what can we do to increase the income of the farmers? And we have a whole lot of things to talk about. So in those cases, do you think it's wise to stick to 2 points and focus on them, or give multiple perspectives?
Multiple perspectives. Your answer is correct. Agriculture and allied activities.
Okay.
Diversification of income. Okay, Prithvi.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome to Vishnu IAS Academy. We are excited to announce the launch of our new courses. Contact us for registrations and counseling. Hard work never fails. Keep learning.